Hi, loves. Welcome to Journaling with Julia. I have been so inspired by all of your amazing, beautiful, fabulous self love journeys that you have been sending me during this month of July. And I hope this video finds you in a loving, joyful spirit. And I hope I can send you some positive vibrations through this video. You feel my good energy, good vibes. As you know, for the month of July, I am taking your calls, your audios, celebrating your self love journeys and what you have learned from your self love journeys. And what I do is I listen along with you, and then I give you some of the insight that I got from the notes that I took while I was listening to the audio. And then I leave you with the journal writing prompt. So let's get into it. Today we have an amazing, amazing, amazing self-love journey from a person that goes by a Joy Elephant on Instagram. And I'm super excited to share this audio with you. So without further ado, let's get into it. May this audio inspire and empower you.
Self-love is something that I have struggled with for most of my adult life. Those struggles have manifested in my life as depression, disordered eating, or as it's more commonly known, an eating disorder or anorexia. And some of the ways that I've been able to heal my relationship with myself a little bit more is through cognitive therapy, through a lot of spiritual learning. One of the spiritual insights that have helped me the most is understanding that I am a spirit soul inhabiting this human body. And in being a spirit soul in this body, my body is a temple. There is a part of God in my heart, and it is sacred. And in that sacredness, it's my duty to love and take care of this sacred temple so that it's able to be of service to others and to myself.
Wow. That was amazing. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, empowering. Oh, I love that. There's so much truth to that because sometimes our self-love journeys, they're not always happy, right? There are a lot of things that we may have to go through in order for us to find love. There may be a lot of things we have to shed, that we have to overcome, that we have to struggle through. One of the words she uses is struggle, right? And struggling is you work through something until you break free from it, right? Until it's not holding you down anymore. And a lot of times with self-love, it is a journey within ourselves, right? It's a journey within our own vessel, within our own body, to really love and appreciate, as she mentioned, the sacred temple that our body is. A lot of times we take our bodies for granted. We take our health for granted. We take the fact that we are blessed to have a life every single day for granted. And when we do that, what happens is we kind of get caught up into cycles that are not necessarily healthy for us, right? We might find comfort in things that may be harmful to us, but because we do not feel the love for ourselves, we have started to adapt to things that also on the outside have that same energy, right, of negativity and not positivity. And we are familiar with that. Remember in the last video I talked about sometimes we attract things that we are familiar with, but those things that we attract don't necessarily mean that they're healthy for us, right? And there's this beautiful imagery of when a butterfly is going through metamorphosis, right? Well, when a caterpillar is going through its metamorphosis to become a butterfly, and it's in a cocoon, chrysalis, right? In order for that butterfly to truly be able to fly, it has to have the strength to be able to break through its cocoon with its wings. Because from nature's standpoint, if the butterfly doesn't have the strength and the ability to break through the cocoon, right? If it cannot struggle out of it and fly, spread its wings and fly, how will it survive in the world for its truest purpose? And if you think about that, that's very similar to what it feels like when you go through your own self-love journey. We have to go through our metamorphosis. And it builds us up while we're in that metamorphosis, while we're in that cocoon, while we are healing ourselves, so that we can be strong enough in ourselves and our bodies to break through whatever struggles we may have been encountering before and fulfill the purpose that we are destined to fulfill. Because as I always say to you all, you have a unique light that the world needs. You have a unique purpose that the world needs. And what she shared was that in her journey along the way, with an eating disorder, right, with feeling depression, those are things that happen because we are trying to find control in the world. We are trying to figure out things that sometimes are out of our control. And so this idea of therapy, right? And there's so many different forms of therapy, right? Whether it's you go to someone and you talk through things with someone, whether you start healing yourself through meditation, right? Guided meditation. There's so many forms of therapy that are available to us. But those things are gatekeepers. Those things are the way that we start to open the doors to our gates, the things that block us. When we break free from those gates, when we're able to tap in, we can truly start to figure out, why am I feeling depressed? What is going on with me? What am I sad about? What is this toxic behavior that I've been carrying out? Why do I feel this way about my body? Why do I feel this way about my spirit? Why do I feel this way about my soul? But the interesting part is, in our self-love journeys, it's always about going within. It's always about figuring out what it is that we need to do within ourselves to heal. Right? It's always about that. And that's the toughest part, because we are our own worst critics sometimes, right? We are the ones who criticize ourselves the most. And so it's really hard for us to look in the mirror and face ourselves and say, this is what needs to change. This is why I've been feeling this way. This is what I am avoiding. Those are not easy things to do, honey. But the more that we get in the habit of being self aware, being honest with ourselves, talking through things with ourselves, understanding why we feel the way that we're feeling and what we're feeling, the more that we can understand the power that we have. One of the most beautiful things she said that really spoke to me is what has been so helpful for her in her healing is her spiritual learning and understanding that I am a spirit, a soul inhabiting this body, and this body that we're in is a temple, right? And it is my duty to treat that temple as a sacred temple, one that I can truly take care of. And in taking care of this temple, it can radiate into the world with positivity. And that's the thing we don't realize. This is something that I didn't realize for a really long time. And it's, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you really be there for other people? If you don't take care of yourself, how can you really help anyone else? You have to have your health. You have to have your peace of mind in order to be helpful and of service and loving to other people. I remember when I was growing up, my mom would always say this: misery loves company. And I didn't really understand what that meant. And she'd always say, yeah, misery loves company. And there's this whole idea of crabs in a bucket, right? So if you look at crabs, you put them all in a bucket. Every time one crab tries to climb out of the bucket, another crab will grab it and pull it back down, back into the bucket. And that's the same idea of misery loving company. And that's often what happens when we have a mindset that isn't positive, right? Or we surround ourselves with people, or we stay in relationships, or we consume a lot of content that isn't positive. Because it's like every time you may share a positive thought, or you may want to think about how you're going to change, or you may have a feeling that you want to grow and your life is changing, you want to evolve from a situation, they might be like, how you going to do that? What you going to do? Can't do that, right? And so you kind of go back down into that bucket of misery. And so how do you get out of that? Because that's something real. And I feel this call. I feel the energy of it. There's a lot there. How do you get out of it? And for me, what has been the most powerful, just as she said, is getting in touch with my inner self, my connection to the universe, to God, however you want to identify that powerful, powerful being, that powerful power that is bigger than we are. And really starting to tap into who you are spiritually. Because I remember for me, there were so many times where I felt very alone, like no one else is feeling the depression that I'm feeling. No one else can understand what I'm going through. But I also wasn't opening up, right? I also wasn't really sharing what I was going through with anyone. And sometimes it's really hard to do that, right? It's really hard to do that. And that's one of the reasons that I started journal writing, because it gave me an outlet. It gave me a place to first start talking about how I was feeling. And it truly saved me, because I felt that here In my journal, no one could judge me. Here in my journal, I could express myself freely. Here in my journal, I had a sacred space to come to every single day to write. And that was very essential and very healing in my journey. I'll tell you a quick anecdote. When I was in graduate school, I was very depressed because I hadn't come out yet to my family. I didn't really understand the relationship that I was in at the time. And I was just not in a good place. And I remember my mom called me on the phone, and because sometimes moms, they know. She could hear it in my voice that I was really at a low point. And she said, I'm coming up there. And I knew that I needed that, but I didn't know how to express it. And I knew there was so much that I was holding in that was holding me, like the weight was holding me down that I had to release. And so before my mom came, I wrote in my journal, I wrote this whole letter in my journal talking about what I had been going through, how I had been feeling. And I didn't know if I would give it to her or not, but I did. And that letter really changed my life and my relationship with my mom because I shared with her a lot of personal things that I was going through. And I say that to say, sometimes we are going through things within ourselves that are too hard to say out loud. Sometimes we have to write them down first before we can get the courage to say them out loud. And that's okay. That's okay. Wherever you are emotionally, it's okay. I want to encourage you, and I want to send you a lot of love because I know that sometimes things can be challenging for us to express. Things can be hard to heal from. And that's why I'm such a journal enthusiast, because I know that. And I know that there's so much power in writing, right? Because when we write, it's another way to express our voice. So thank you so much for that beautiful call-in. I want to encourage you today, because of that call-in, to think about this for our journal writing prompt. How are you growing emotionally, right? And I think this is totally fitting to the beautiful call that we had and the courageous call that we had today. How are you growing emotionally? And when I say that, we've been in quarantine for about 4 months. And there's been a lot of isolation. Some of you may live by yourselves. Some of you may, have your jobs have been closed. And it leads to a lot of thinking, right? What are some of the ways that you notice your thinking about how you feel about yourself has changed? What are the ways that you've been able to look at things like that may not be so positive and shift your mood to make it more negative, more positive, right? What are some ways that you've learned how to step into positivity? What are some things that you used to really get caught up in a downward spiral that now you've learned to truly heal from and look at differently? I really would encourage you to reflect on that, because I know you'll see that there are things that you've truly grown emotionally in. I want to send you so much love and inspiration and good energy. As you know, this month I am celebrating your self-love journeys. And if you'd like to participate, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram at Julia Speaks Love. Send me a 1 to 2 minute DM, audio DM, sharing with me your definition of self-love and what you have learned about yourself and your self-love journey. And I'm so excited to hear from you. I send you so much love. May this video inspire, empower, and uplift you. Remember that you are an amazing, unique light. And the world needs you. You matter. You matter. You matter. Keep shining your light. You are powerful. You are wonderful. You are amazing. I send you so much love. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.